Hi, everyone. This is Kim with Cowgirl Biz, and I am very excited because I have a very special guest here today to join us. Her name is Lexy, and this is the very successful businesswoman that I have been talking about to most of you through our email as we had the kickoff of summer school and focusing all about SEO. But there's a lot of backstory to this story. And so we're going to kind of take you through some of that backstory and catch you up. And then we're looking forward to continuing more of the journey together with all of you as you get acquainted with the beautiful Lexy. So Lexy, I'm going to have you start with sharing what your business is and a little bit about how you got started.
Okay, so currently I sell Native American handmade jewelry. And kind of how I got into this is I grew up in Eastern Oklahoma. I am Cherokee Indian, and so there is a man from my hometown that silversmiths and makes a lot of jewelry, and kind of grew up also in the Western industry. So, love to see people using accessories for things, but spent some time with him and his shop and kind of got to see the behind the scenes of how jewelry was made and stuff. And so that's kind of where my passion for the jewelry itself came into effect. Went to OSU, was doing pre-med degree, and COVID came along. And I was like, okay, this isn't sustainable. Like, going into the medical field with no hands-on experience is kind of scary. And so during COVID, it was such a wild time, but I had some friends that were business majors and in the agriculture space, and they were like, hey, you should branch out, talk to an advisor in the ag college. And he was like, you have enough dual credits, you could get a business degree. And so ended up finishing my pre-med, but also at the same time got a business degree in agriculture business with a minus in pre-veterinary management. So got a lot of finance experience, and it was really fun. I enjoyed kind of the background of seeing small businesses and just kind of how things worked. And so my senior year, our thesis project was actually helping a small business learn how to kind of scale up and like how to use free advertising and things like that. And so ended up starting in finance. I worked in banking for a couple of years and just kind of working with a lot of large scale businesses, small scale businesses. I really just gained a lot of knowledge and how to help people, with their books and, margins and things like that. And so started kind of sharing my love for native jewelry with a lot of my family and friends during this time, and everyone was super interested in it. And so I kind of started pushing myself to dive into gemology and learn, more about different cultures and history. And at the time, I was working with someone over the First Americans Museum up in Oklahoma City. And so she was trying to figure out how to, bring more emphasis to our native cultures in Oklahoma and what they could do. And so the museum actually opened up a space for makers and artisans to come in and sell their products. And so really just kind of sharing my love for something that I just enjoyed turned into people asking me to source products for them or to get custom pieces made. And so I met a couple of artists from New Mexico. They're Navajo and Zuni, and we kind of just started talking about how to sustainably bring attention to Native artists and, kind of this space of poverty and the reservations and stuff that they live on in New Mexico, and just started buying pieces and selling them for fun. And then once it kind of hit me that there was like such a large industry and there was a lot of, I guess, kind of lack of knowledge for the better part in the industry as far as like cultural appropriation and just kind of like the things that Indigenous people deal with, I started realizing that there was kind of a bigger story to tell besides the jewelry. And so the jewelry is, a big part of my life, and it's really scaled into something more than I ever could imagine. But on the back end of that, we're really teaching a lot about these different cultures and the significance and just kind of things that you don't really see a lot of. And so through this time, I met someone who has helped me, learn about all of the backside of things, marketing and things I didn't get a lot of knowledge in. And so I've also started noticing, a lack of that as well in the Western space. And so got connected with Kim, and it's been a crazy last few months, but now I'm just sharing my love for jewelry and trying to help small businesses along the way.
All right. So we're going to pop up her website so you guys can see it and have her talk a little bit about this. This is thewildhorseco.com. Am I saying that correct?
Yes.
All right. And this is built on Shopify. So tell us, if you recall, I realize this is like the second version of your whole endeavor, but if you were to rewind, you picked Shopify at the very beginning. Tell us a little bit about how you chose Shopify. And obviously we don't have pictures of the old site, but let's just start with a little bit of way at the beginning, what that was like.
Yeah, so basically, I feel like when you're starting a business, you don't really know all the inside details. And so kind of started doing some research and realized that I needed a more sustainable way for my customers to have multiple checkout options, which is why I like Shopify, because it did offer a wide range of plans, where in the beginning, I started really just using PayPal for invoicing. And so I kind of went back and forth between Square and Shopify, but after kind of doing some research, I noticed that Shopify tends to keep up more with digital trends. It's easier for marketing. Like I said, payment accessibility is easier. And so I basically built out the first website completely by myself. Before I knew about SEO, before I knew about alt text images, before I knew about ADA compliance. And so was using that for a while, but noticed that I wasn't really getting organic traffic to my site. And so we had stuff kind of organized. There were categories, but there wasn't a lot of different functions. There wasn't anything about us, about our shipping speeds. We were really lacking ADA compliance, so alt text for images and things like that. And so after, kind of realizing like no one's searching on Google and finding my website at all, like you really have to be specific with what you're searching, I reached out to a company and kind of had them do an audit of my website just to see what I was lacking, and ended up finding out that there was a lot of stuff missing, especially on the compliance end, which is really, really important. But SEO was the biggest thing. And so we discussed, what's important and how to get your business on the front page of Google, how to get that organic traffic from Facebook, Instagram, without having to pay for a lot of ads or, marketing. So we kind of redesigned the website. We dove all in. We ended up choosing a new paid theme in Shopify. And so on the paid themes, you get a little better SEO production. And there is, ways. Kim has some articles too that will show you how you can look at your SEO functionability. So they kind of have like a different range of scores. So if you're at like 0 to 10%, your website's not really using any SEO, where 80 to 90% your site is functioning highly off SEO. And so what I tended to notice once we did this website refresh is in the first month, we went from maybe 5 to 10 Google clicks a month to around 5,000 Google clicks a month. And so there was a big jump in organic traffic coming to the website. And then obviously when you have alt text on images, people who are pulling up an email or the website, but maybe they don't have enough service to load the image, can still see that they're shopping for Native American jewelry. So we have interfaced the new website. It's got our link to our socials up in the corner.
Mhm.
We have an About Us section, compliance section. I have a birthday club email sign up section.
Let's click through a few of those. So let's go to your About page.
Okay, so you can scroll. Here's kind of just a
Oh yeah,
debriefer.
perfect. Take us through the homepage.
Okay, so here's kind of how we broke this up. I'll just give you guys a little detail on what's important with this. So main page of the website has our featured header. So usually once a month, if not a few times a month, we switch this header out. We might feature a different collection, certain products. Right now it's our 4th of July collection. So you can come down here, click in, and it takes you to that section. And then this is kind of like what we call stackers, where we break it up, make for more accessible shopping. Maybe people who don't want to go hit the search bar, or they want to, see something specific. Here are, the products I sell: bracelets, earrings, necklaces, pendants, rings. You can click into here. It's easy access, pulls up everything under that category. And then in the Native American jewelry world, there are a ton of gemstone options. And so one of my most important things I wanted to see was a lot of people utilizing SEO. They're shopping for a specific stone when they type something in on Google. So maybe they're typing black onyx ring. Well, by breaking up these collections, it's allowed our SEO to function better. So people can come in here. If they just want to see pink conch, they can click in, and it's going to show them every kind of jewelry I sell with a pink conch stone.
Nice.
And then we have a new arrivals. So this section, we don't change these 3 slicers up a ton, but usually we just tried to make this as easy for someone just coming straight on. They know what they're looking for specifically. And so usually we send an email once a week out with this new arrival section, and it brings them straight to here, and they can see what we've added in the last few weeks. Here is our About Us. So we kind of kept it short and sweet here, but we did add a button in here where you can come in and just kind of read my bio, see our story. It shows our reviews on here as well, which is another really important thing. I noticed that is another thing that tends to push my Google search results better is reviews. So within Shopify, there is a couple of different options for integrations you can do to put the reviews on here, and it's super seamless. Sends an email to your customer when they purchase the item asking them to leave a review. And then every time someone clicks on a product, all my reviews are in here. So that's made it really nice, especially when you're online shopping, because sometimes it can be hard to maybe gauge sizing or know how if something's heavy or light. So reviews have also helped that. And then here's kind of like our socials. We have our payment plans, and then my birthday club.
How does the birthday club work?
Okay, so the birthday club is whenever you sign up, how we do it is we send you an email coupon for the month of your birthday. You just have to sign up before your birthday month, but I think it's 10 or 15% off. You just sign up, and then every year on your birthday, you get a little surprise. And then lastly, the most important things I can say on here is, link your email sign up. People can scroll down. They want a 15% off coupon. They're typing in their email and they're hitting sign up. It makes it super easy. But accessibility and SEO integration, these are the important things. So we have kind of a mini bio here that has some specific keywords in case people are typing in Native American jewelry in Oklahoma. I have my city and state linked here. So that definitely helps pull better search results. But the ending header down here is quick links to everything. So maybe someone's on my website and they're like, I don't know how to contact her. They come in here, they can click the contact information, shows our email, they can click that, or they can, come back over here and there's a section they can click in that will automatically type the email for them. It's got the most important things: your privacy policy, your accessibility, your refund, your shipping, and your terms of service. The easiest thing with Shopify as far as your customer care section is when you're building out any theme on Shopify, you can type in your shipping policy. So mine is 3 business day turnaround from the day you order. But Shopify uses basically like AI to type up your entire policy for you. So instead of you having to go out and like, oh, do we have this in our privacy policy? Do we have this in our terms of service? Shopify actually gives you terms of service, and then you just integrate maybe specific things you need, whether you don't allow returns or anything like that. But it's all on here, super, super easy, but just, very important things as far as your liability to your websites. Then we have like a few more things. Here's our quick shop link, birthday club, again, another section to contact us, reviews. Our subscribe and save is just our email sign up. You can shop all, and then socials linked again.
And what email program are you using?
So currently we use Klaviyo. Klaviyo is integrated in Shopify. It is a separate charge, but there tends to be better functionality when you're on Klaviyo and you're linking your collections or anything. We're making a lot of these custom graphics you see here ourselves. And so in Klaviyo, you can easily insert the graphic. Klaviyo even has a mini section header where it says alt text, and you type in your alt text, which is super nice. We tried a couple different email programs before Klaviyo, but it tends to be the one that I like the best currently.
I personally, through the different brands that I've worked with as well, have found Klaviyo approximately a few years back, and it's definitely the strongest one, especially for e-commerce. It's strong with what it can do.
And our reviews. So all of our reviews are also through Klaviyo. So that's another seamless thing. So when like you're choosing the Klaviyo package, you get like a certain number of email you can send a month. So like if you have 1,000 people on your email list, you would choose that option. But I think it also allows like 500 reviews a month. So I don't have to do anything for my reviews. Klaviyo sends a separate email out once my customers order something, and you can tell. It can be short and sweet. It can link to the product, but it automatically publishes them on the website. So it's very seamless and easy to use as well as far as the reviews go too.
Okay, awesome. All right, we're going to come back to a couple more questions I have. I'm going to focus on you and I next. So tell us timeline-wise, roughly how long ago did you do the website refresh?
So I started selling native jewelry slowly in 2022, end of 2021, 2022. Okay. Didn't have a website really for a few months. And then the October of 23, I made the first website. And I made the first website in January of 23. October of 23 is when we did the refresh, and we've been using this theme. We kind of went back and forth. We tried a theme that I already had integrated for like a month, and then we realized SEO functionality was not very good on it. And so we ended up switching to this theme. But it took us from October to December to build out the website, and obviously going through products and everything like that.
And then I remember when you and I spoke a few weeks back and we were talking about what we wanted to speak about here, you had a very interesting question that you had posed to yourself, which was you talked about how you were looking at other businesses, even outside the Western industry, et cetera. And you were like contemplating, well, how is it that they would blow up or be super successful faster than other ones? Can you take us through that contemplation and what that was about and what you found?
Yeah, so I think in the world of social media, a lot of people are gauging their business success based on following, how many post likes or shares something is getting, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And so kind of what I guess I thought the norm was when I first got into this business was the more followers you had, the more sales you were getting, the more scaled up your business was. But after, looking at websites and SEO function, I started to realize that people could have 50,000 followers, but if they didn't have a big email list, if they didn't use SEO, if they didn't have a Google business, they might be getting 20 orders a month, but they have 50,000 followers. So what are their followers seeing? Because, you get on social media and you're scrolling and you're like, oh, I love this business, but I haven't seen their products in months, which happens a lot. And so I think that's kind of the biggest misconception that we have, especially in the Western industry, because it's so niche, is I automatically assumed, okay, if I can scale my following up, then I'm going to get a ton of orders a month. And I think it's the complete opposite when you start building your email list. Because we have a saying, especially in my business, is it takes someone seeing a product about 30 to 90 times before they might actually order the product. So that means that one of my customers has to either see an email 30 to 90 times, they have to see a social media post 30 to 90 times before they might even go and click into my website. And so that is where I started noticing, okay, if I can create super cool website graphics, if I can create super cool photos for my website, if I can build that email list, then these customers are going to see those emails. And consumerism is a very strange thing, but most people tend to read an email before they click your website from a social media post. And so social media is very important. Having followers is important, but I kind of got a quick reality check on I don't need to be spending so much money over here advertising a Facebook ad every day when I could be organically, growing my email list by collecting emails or by having people tell their friends to sign up. And so that's kind of where I noticed a large part, because I don't have, hundreds of thousands of followers on my social media, but, we do a lot of orders a month. And so it's all organic volume, mostly a lot of people shopping with emails, or maybe we linked something on our social media, but definitely a big difference in what I think the norm looks like for most people.
Very, very wise advice and good info there. So I also recall you talking about one weekend where you said I spent, I don't know, it was maybe $50 or $100 on Facebook ads. Yes. And you said, you know what, Kim, it was crazy because I realized, and I'm going to let you finish the rest of that story. What is it that you realized?
Yes. So you realize when you're spending money on Facebook ads and you go to that funny little thing called metrics that, oh, Facebook had 4,000 people view this, but did you get any sales from any of these people? No. So that is the biggest piece of advice I can give businesses is in today's world, commercials, advertising, marketing is the biggest spends for a lot of businesses minus inventory. And so really take time and dig into those Facebook ads or Instagram ads, because Meta loves to tell you, oh, you pay $50 and you're going to get 50,000 views on this ad. Well, I was getting tens of thousands of views and I wasn't getting 5 orders from those views, if that. And so you're really spending a lot of money on something that maybe isn't necessary, where you could be spending the money to enhance your website, integrate SEO better, send a few more emails.
The part that I'm remembering is you said they might see the ad, but then they still go over to Google and type it.
And still type it in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, is people will see those ads, but they're not clicking the direct link either. Usually they're going and seeing if they can search it somewhere else, or maybe they're price shopping and they're typing in a bunch of different things. So yes.
Okay. And then you're an e-commerce business. You don't have a storefront, correct?
I have a mobile storefront, but not like a brick and mortar that's open every single day.
Okay. But you also shared some interesting stats about people searching for the types of jewelry near them and still found you, even though you're e-commerce. So how did you do that?
So that's kind of where putting specifics about where your business is located and things can also help. But basically, when you're using SEO function, you can use specific keywords that don't necessarily have to target that exact space, because if you guys are like me, you probably have your Google location turned off. So a lot of times when I'm on Google, Google thinks I'm in Dallas and they're like, let's show her everything in Dallas and nothing in Oklahoma. So usually it's pinging from a bunch of different places, and using really specific keywords. Google doesn't always give you the direct location first, which is crazy because I was like, I'm getting a lot of customers from Iowa. And I was like, I'm not in Iowa. And so I reached out to one of them and she was like, well, you had corn and we love corn in Iowa. And so we were all searching up corn jewelry and it popped up because I had it tagged as corn jewelry, I guess. So there's kind of, I guess you could go deeper into how you can widen those search results, but Google can be very finicky sometimes with that.
Yeah. All right. So if you're comfortable, talk a little bit about your revenue growth, and whatever you're willing to share publicly, in the context of SEO, in the context of time frame, all of that. I know our audience is always curious to hear success stories.
Yes. So kind of like I said with the following, when I first started, I didn't focus really on my website. I was more focused on social media and how to go out and find followers and, going to events to try to scale that up. And so I started selling online, sold a lot in Facebook groups, sold just kind of from our public Facebook page, and then realized I needed the website. And at this time, basically this was just something for fun. I was making a little bit of side income and it was just enough to do the things I wanted to do or buy the jewelry I wanted to buy for myself. And so, it was nice. It was nice to have a little stream of revenue coming in. And then I kind of took a step back and I was like, this is a large industry and there's a lot of businesses. So I have to come up with something that's going to help me set a difference in 50 businesses that are selling turquoise jewelry. And so that's when I started kind of sharing more about learning about gemology and stuff. And so made the website, started using it. Noticed sales were doing better because then people could like, oh, your inventory's over here and we're not having to ask you what you have in stock. And so I would have people shop that. Sales scaled up a little bit, but nothing, too crazy. And then started 2024 with a fully built out website with SEO. And in 2 months of 2024, we did the same revenue we had done in, I think, 4 or 5 months of 2023. And so, 2024 brought us an election. People were very unsure of what was going to happen. And so consumer spending as a whole went down across, I think, the board for most industries. And so started noticing a lot of fallout from small businesses and got a little scared and was like, okay, how do I make this sustainable? And so did some SEO trainings and realized that I have to have a background and I have to share why I do this business and why it's my passion. And so started connecting more on the side of sharing my story, sharing about all these cool rocks I sell, sharing about my native artist, and kind of showing the background, showing that, it takes me 2 hours to pack 30 something orders, and just being really open and honest with my customers. And it started driving a lot of organic traffic in. And then we got on Google. A product called the Sterling Pearl Bow Necklaces blew up, and somehow my SEO integration blessed me, and my image was the 3rd search result on Google, following 2 businesses who do over millions in revenue each year. And I was selling 2 to 3 bow necklaces a day. And so it was crazy. I was never so tired of seeing bow necklaces, but just a very specific product really kind of pushed a lot of traffic to my website. And people may not have been buying the bow necklaces, but guess what? They were signing up for that email. And so my email list was growing like crazy. And so I kind of sat down, looked at Google Business, and was like, okay, is our product information updated? What's pulling SEO? We were doing image searches, which we'll get into later, and just finding out how are these people finding us and what are they using to find us so we can integrate that in every product we have. And so after doing that, probably January, February of 2024 were slower. Summer was always slow. Picked up a lot around the holidays and noticed that SEO was really doing me a big favor with people shopping. Husbands were like, oh my gosh, my wife says she wants a turquoise ring. I have to go find a turquoise ring. And so noticed the revenue then really starting to scale up. But in the start of 2024, we had a goal that we would do all of the hard work, and either in 2024 or 2025, we would double revenue from the year prior. So it was a little hard because we only had the website for 4 months of 2023. But like I said, in those short 2 months of 2024, we had already done the revenue. So I could see the growth. We stopped advertising, spending all of our money on Facebook ads, and we started spending more money paying for Canva and Klaviyo and all of these things. And so 2025 came around, the election was over, consumer spending was up, and in 3 months of 2025, I had done my entire revenue for the year of 2024.
Wow.
Currently, year to date, we are set to do 5 times the revenue we did in 2024, all from just simply upgrading a website, building that email list, and not just my business. Another business in the industry kind of shared that she also was very skeptical when she integrated SEO because they told her the same thing. You're going to double your revenue in a year if you do all these things. And she was like, there's no way. And her email list went from like 150 emails. Ended 2024, she had 25,000 emails on her subscription list.
Excellent.
And she didn't have to go out and beg people for their email, and so let me say that if you integrate these things and you really focus, you listen to what Kim is telling you guys, you can take your small business that you're really working so hard for every dollar for, and you can turn it into something incredible. Because I didn't believe it. I was like, this is so much work. It was so many sleepless nights of like, oh, this didn't work out. SEO's not working on this. And now I'm sitting here and I'm like doing lifestyles for fun, but a lot of my traffic to my website is still organic. And so it's been really crazy because I was very skeptical. All these businesses are like, pay me to do your ads, pay me to do your website. And you're like, I don't think this is going to work. And then when you finally integrate it, you're like, wow, you can really scale up, especially in our industry because it's so niche. The products are so niche. And Western.
Well, and we found too, that's part of why Cowgirl Biz has transitioned to focus on SEO. When we started Cowgirl Biz, it was a directory for all the Western brands and businesses to find each other. And as we were building it on the back end, we knew how important SEO was. So we were building each individual listing of those businesses with SEO. So we'd have to study jewelry, we'd study apparel, we studied hats, we studied everything. And we watched our traffic grow considerably just with SEO. So in realizing that many of these businesses aren't tapping into what they can achieve, that's why we're transitioning to be able to help more businesses do exactly what your journey has been related to SEO. And I can't thank you enough for coming on here and sharing your personal journey and what a beautiful business. Do you have some jewelry you'd like to share with us before we close?
Yeah, let me see. I just got these in. So these are kind of a big fan favorite. So this is a little SEO background. These necklaces, if it doesn't blur it out too much, are a kind of like rondelle style. They are super niche. It's really something only native artists make. You can't even really get these machine made. And so this was another big product. Starting out, wasn't getting a lot of hits on the website, but once I kind of put those specific details in there, that is one of our best sellers. And I have 8 laying here and they're all ready to be packaged up. But the main thing I kind of want to share a little bit about is our sterling and handmade pearls. So a lot of people that sell native jewelry might sell machine made beads, which are just, I'll show you. They are just a bead like this. It is sterling, but it gets made by a machine. And so I have started selling handmade pearls, and my artists make each of these beads by hand. They stamp them all. It's so crazy. A couple weeks ago, I went to Gallup and was in one of my artist studios. Getting to see them make them takes so long, but it's a really, really cool product. And so that's kind of fun. Obviously, we showcased my 4th of July collection. Spent a lot of time doing that for something fun and patriotic. But yeah, so they'll have to check that out. But I just want to say thank you again. Like I told you a couple weeks ago, there hasn't been anyone in this industry that I've seen that's really been willing to help businesses so much. And just seeing how much this has changed my life, I am so thankful that you are here and you're willing to help these people, because I don't want to see any small business fail, but in the Western industry, it's even more important to me that these businesses are staying alive. And so I really hope people, take the time to watch these and really learn how much SEO can help them.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, everybody. This is Kim with Cowgirl Biz. That is Lexy with the Wild Horse Co. And just to make sure everybody can find you on socials, what is it the same?
Yes, it's the Wild. Obviously, the website's up there. The Instagram is the Wild Horse Co. _ and then Facebook's the Wild Horse Co. We have a public page and then we have a Facebook group. So definitely check those out. And if they can't find them, they're always linked in my website.
Oh, excellent. And everyone who stayed till the end, thank you so much. Lexy and I are going to adjourn this so that we can record a few more fun things where you get a little more details of how she does what she does. So until then, take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Chasing rain.